Why you keep helping people who don't deserve it. You already know this person doesn't appreciate you. You've known for a while. And yet, you'll answer their message. You'll show up. You'll find a way to make yourself useful to them again. Not because you're foolish, not because you don't see it, but because something deeper than logic is running this. And that something is what we need to talk about. Think about the last time you helped someone who left you feeling empty afterward. Maybe they barely said thank you. Maybe they moved straight to the next request. Maybe they disappeared until they needed something again. And you told yourself you were fine. You said, I just like helping people. That's what good people do. But here's the moment that tells the truth. It's 11 p.m. You're tired. Someone messages you asking for something again. And before your brain even decides, your hands are already typing, of course. That's not a choice. That's a reflex. And it doesn't stop at strangers or distant friends. It shows up with family members who take without asking, with colleagues who offload their work onto you, with partners who receive your care like it's a service they subscribe to. You start to wonder, why does everyone feel entitled to me? But the deeper question, the one that keeps you up at night, is this: why do I keep letting them? Because you're not passive, you're not weak, you're often the most capable person in the room. So why does no feel like you're doing something wrong? Here is what psychology actually says about this. You are not broken, you are adapted. There is a significant difference. A person who compulsively helps isn't a pushover. They are someone who learned at some point, in some context, that being useful was the safest way to exist, that being needed meant being kept. This pattern has a name in psychology. It's called Fawn Response, first described in the context of trauma by therapist Pete Walker. When danger is present and fighting back feels impossible, some people don't freeze and they don't flee. They help. They accommodate. They make themselves indispensable. Because if you are useful enough, maybe the threat goes away. Maybe you won't be left. Imagine a child in a home where love was unpredictable, where a parent's mood could shift without warning. The child learns, if I anticipate what they need, I stay safe. That child grows up. The parent is gone, but the pattern remains, now applied to everyone. And this is important. You likely have no conscious memory of making this decision. The brain did it automatically. It was survival logic, and it worked. The problem is, it's still running. Let's look at what's happening in the brain. When you help someone, your brain releases a small dose of dopamine. That's the neurotransmitter associated with reward and reinforcement. But it also activates something else. It quiets the threat detection system. Your amygdala, the alarm center of your brain, gets temporarily soothed. Think of it this way. Imagine your nervous system is a smoke detector that was installed in a kitchen where there used to be fires. The fires stopped years ago, but the detector is still calibrated for that old kitchen. So now, any hint of social tension, any possibility of someone's disappointment, any silence after a message sent sets the alarm off. And helping is how you turn it off. Here's the simple mental model. Threat to anxiety, to help, to temporary relief, to repeat. Not kindness, a loop. The psychological term for this is negative reinforcement, not punishment, the removal of something unpleasant. You don't help to feel good, you help to stop feeling bad. That distinction is everything. Because it means your helping isn't really about the other person, it's about managing your own fear of what happens if you don't. Picture this. A colleague emails you at 6 p.m. asking if you can cover something for them. You're exhausted, you had plans, but a quiet, cold anxiety rises before you've read the full message. What if they think I'm difficult? What if this changes how they see me? So you type, sure, no problem, and the anxiety lifts, for now. That relief is the reward, not their gratitude, not the help itself, the relief. So, what do you do with this? Here are 5 principles, each grounded in how the brain actually changes. When a request comes in, pause, even for 30 seconds, and ask, What am I afraid will happen if I say no? Not, should I help? That question skips over the real thing. Why it works in the brain. Naming an emotion activates the prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, and reduces the amygdala's grip. Psychologist Matthew Lieberman calls this affect labeling. Simply putting words to a feeling reduces its intensity. Real-life example. Someone asks you to proofread something urgently. Instead of immediately agreeing, you pause and write in your head, "I'm afraid they'll think I'm selfish." That's the fear, not a fact, a fear. Now you can make a real choice. These feel the same from the outside. They are opposite on the inside. Compulsive helping comes before you've decided. Chosen generosity comes after you have. Ask yourself, am I helping from fullness or from fear? Why it works. This question engages your anterior cingulate cortex, the part of the brain that monitors internal states and helps you align actions with values. Real-life example. A friend asks to borrow money. You feel the pull to say yes immediately, but you pause. You ask, do I have the emotional and financial space for this right now? If yes, help freely. If no, that's important information. The anxiety that follows declining someone doesn't last forever. It peaks, and then it subsides. This is called distress tolerance in dialectical behavior therapy. The goal isn't to eliminate the discomfort, it's to sit with it long enough to realize it doesn't destroy you. Real-life example. You decline a request. The familiar guilt rises. Don't run from it. Don't over-explain yourself. Let the feeling exist. Notice how within minutes or hours it passes. The brain learns declining someone does not end in catastrophe. Over time, the alarm gets recalibrated. Healthy relationships have reciprocity, not perfect equality, but a general sense of mutual investment. This isn't about keeping score. It's about noticing when the flow is entirely one direction. Why it works. Our brains are wired for fairness. Research from neuroeconomics shows the insula, an area linked to disgust and moral processing, activates when we experience chronic imbalance. That low-grade irritation you feel, that's your brain already telling you something. Real-life example. Think of someone you help regularly. When did they last ask how you were and actually wait for the answer? If you're struggling to remember, that's data. This is the deepest work. Many compulsive helpers have fused their identity with usefulness. I am a good person because I help. If I stop helping, what am I? This is called identity-level belief in cognitive psychology. It's not a surface thought, it's a self-schema, a core structure through which you filter everything. To change it, you need to build evidence that you have value without producing anything for anyone. Real-life example. Spend one day doing something entirely for yourself. A walk, a meal, an hour of reading, with no output, no service, no productivity. Notice the discomfort. Notice that nothing collapsed. That's how the new schema is written. Here's the model to carry with you. The smoke detector that needs recalibration. Your helping instinct isn't wrong. The detector just learned to sense smoke where there is none. The work is not to disable it. The work is to update it so that it fires only when something actually requires your response. You are allowed to have resources. You are allowed to be unavailable. You are allowed to exist without justifying that existence through service. That's not selfishness. That is the basic architecture of a self. You've spent years being the person people count on, and part of you is proud of that. Part of you should be. But underneath that pride, there's exhaustion. the exhaustion of someone who has been quietly afraid that without their usefulness they would not be chosen. Let that land for a moment, because the most significant shift doesn't come from learning to say no. It comes from understanding that you were always worth keeping, even when you had nothing to offer. The people who leave you when you stop overgiving were never really there for you. They were there for the service, and knowing the difference is the beginning of building something real. You don't have to earn your place in people's lives. You just have to stop proving it every single day.